We are back with another episode of Unfinished Business. Deep, 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 deep dive. I am your host, Jeff Galashaw, with you as always. And as always, my co-host, that's a lot of always, Andre Joseph of AJ Epics.
Happy Lent season.
I am interested, what are you giving up for Lent, Mr. Joseph?
Not a damn thing.
Okay, so you're not Marky Mark. Neither am I. You know what I'm giving up? Hopefully no bad movies for 40 days. That's what I'm hoping for. Unfortunately, the movie we're talking about is not one of the good ones. We're talking about a little ditty called 40 Days and 40 Nights from 2002, directed by Michael Lehman, written by Rob Perez, and starring, are you ready? Hold on to your hats, folks. Josh Hartnett, the lovely Shannon Sossaman, Vanessa Shaw, and Maggie Gyllenhaal, Paul Costanzo, Griffin Dunn, Keegan Connor Tracy, Adam Tress, Emmanuel Vauget, and Mose Mosier. And no, it's an American film, y'all. This movie is about a young man who's just gotten through a breakup with his longtime girlfriend, I think former fiance, and he is just so down in the dumps and depressed, and sex isn't helping, so that he decides the answer to all his problems is he's going to give up sex for 40 days and 40 nights. And of course, soon as he does, he meets the woman of his dreams, played by Shannon Sossaman, who is a censor of websites. Talk about 2000s. And he works for an upstart website that we never learn what this website does. It's the tech boom, y'all, in San Francisco. Where to start with this movie and the problem?
Yeah.
This movie is very problematic other than the ending, which is its biggest problem. Okay. This movie, Josh Hartnett gets sex like so easily, even though he just broke up with his girlfriend, who, when you watch the film, you're wondering, other than her hotness, why did he love her? Because kind of a B, This is one of the most misogynistic movies I've ever seen in my life. And I saw this on opening night. And I remember liking it back then, but it did not age well. Because watching it now, jeez. Okay, I've never met a group of men who openly talk about masturbating so much in a movie. They even have a special room for it. And Griffin Dunn, did you lose a bet? Why did you appear in this movie? They're just really cruel to his character for no reason, Then you have the characters, the sirens at work, who want to keep the equality and power of women, so they keep trying to seduce him. That made no sense to me. It made me realize, yeah, this was written by a male. It's because that makes no.
A white male.
I think you could. Well, there's no black people in this movie. Or any minorities in this movie, really. The closest you might get is Emmanuel Vauget, and that's because she's Canadian. Or Paolo Costanzo, because he's Italian. Like I said, I will say this movie, one of the decent things of this movie is it has a good soundtrack of latest tunes at that time. Shannon Sossaman is good. I just wish he was in a different movie. The guys take bets on him, holding his virginity, and they're trying to get him to break it. I'm trying to save the ending for the end of this review because that's going to be a big controversy. The faking an orgasm scene, and really, That's where we're going with this. That seems like something that is out of Sex in the City. Like something that would happen to Samantha's character, and she didn't know how to deal with it. It's supposed to be a romantic comedy for men, but again, it just feels so misogynistic and it's not that funny. Like, even when he talks to his parents about the thing and they're talking about their sex lives, and then his brother, who's a priest, decides to quit priesthood because the stories get him so hot. It's like, and there's literally a scene where everywhere he turns, there's a topless woman. And I'm like, it's just distasteful. Okay, Andre, I'm gonna let you talk about your thoughts on this movie. How did you first see it, and all that? Because I think I've said a lot.
I first saw this movie with my cousin. Actually, when it came out on DVD, I think he bought the DVD when he was in college. And when I came up to visit him or when he came down for a holiday, he brought it. We watched it because I think he thought it was funny. He thought it was really good. We won't get into the ending, but all I could say is watching it, I really wasn't laughing. And then once you got to the end, it was like, I don't want to watch this movie ever again until we had to do it for this episode. So that was that. Rewatching it again, it's just like with you people. It just made me really angry because I'm going to be a little self-deprecating for a second. I'm almost 40 years old, and I'm not Josh Hartnett where I could just walk down a street or go to work and have a bunch of attractive women just easily want to have sex with me, or have meet some girl in a laundromat and after like one or two dates, now she wants a relationship. That is where I look at this movie and say, all of this is a bunch of bullshit. None of this is real. Even for a comedy, it's supposed to be entertaining. I think it's just really insulting. And clearly, that it's written by a man pre-Me Too era. It's an insult to women too, to think that they would just fall hand and feet for some regular looking white dude who isn't trying to at times be flirtatious. Like, if you're going to make a statement that you're not going to have sex for 40 days, you're not going to flirt with anybody. You're not going to talk to anybody. You can probably stay home and just go to work, and that's that. You can't just easily have a girl come up to you and just easily want to shoot their shot. Because a guy can't shoot their shot in this day and age without making it sound like you're trying to blow their load on some girl's face. It's like, come on, man. This is complete nonsense. And I'm surprised this still even gets on TV and on cable, because this is a movie with a completely outdated attitude, as they would put on a disclaimer nowadays. This is horrible.
This used to regularly come on MTV, obviously the censored version. But interestingly enough, Josh Hartnett tried to be method and said he tried to be celibate, and it only lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah, because he's a Hollywood actor. Of course that's going to happen. If you go to a club and the girls see the dude from Pearl Harbor, oh yeah, I want to jump him tonight because he was in Pearl Harbor and The Faculty. But that's not going to happen with the average guy.
Leave young Tommy Lee Jones alone. And, but this movie, I thought was going to be his risky business, because it was obvious they were setting him up for stardom at the time, trying to give him a Tom Cruise career. And I felt like this was his chance trying to play comedy. And, especially as a lead, and see, how much he can earn, how much a movie starring him as the big name could earn. And I mean, I think it won its first week, but then it slowly went down. I'll let you know when we're going to start talking about the end. I'm going through my notes of my original review of this movie. So if you see me looking down, that's what it is. I will give it that at the time, it tried to be an open-minded sex comedy. And unfortunately, obviously from a more male point of view and a sexist point of view. But, I can give it time that it was more aimed at youth. I mean, this was this before or after American Pie?
This was after.
So you could see where maybe this got its funding and thought, oh, this will be a big comedy because it's a comedy about sex, but it's a romantic comedy.
Well, the front was a Road Trip, which had that same vibe.
Exactly. And even though he's the creepiest guy in the world, he's probably the only funny one in the movie, Paolo Costanzo. Especially his monologue about porn and poon, and then him using Matt's story and pretending to be Matt himself, and then getting a girl to go back home with him. It was just like, so you're Larry from Three's Company using fake stories to get girls. That was kind of creepy.
Yeah, and the Griffin Dune character was just embarrassing. I mean, like that's your typical male chauvinistic boss trying to, sexual harassment in the workplace, like when he's like looking at the girl's ass and he's like trying to grab, I think, at the trash can or something. I mean, again, outdated attitudes. And I like Griffin Dunne. I think After Hours is a pretty good film.
Yep, it was just at the Paris. And but like I said, I just wonder, why did you accept this role? It's so like insulting and embarrassing. And
Steve Carell would probably be doing this now, and it wouldn't even be that bad.
Well, they'd have to rework this script a lot.
A
lot. Like bringing a female writer. Okay. I'm looking.
What about the scene when oh yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna say this is an R-rated comedy, but it has a high school mindset.
Yeah.
So the audience that should be or would want to watch this can't watch it until it comes out, or if they sneak into it. So that was another problem with the movie.
It's not relatable, and that's another issue. Like, you brought up Risky Business before, and okay, nobody can really relate to a kid who turns his house into a bordello, but they can relate to being the goody two-shoes kid trying to please their parents all the time. And then when they go home, when they go out on vacation, they're going to do some crazy stuff like throw a party, take the car on a joyride, and then something happens and they have to clean everything up before their parents get back. Anybody can relate to that. American Pie is silly, but kids are horny. They're going to relate to wanting to have sex before their high school prom. There's nothing relatable about this film. Again, tell me who the fuck is not a celebrity that can walk around the street and have girls drop their panties for them.
No, sorry, I don't know that person. This would be a good time for us to bring up the ending of this movie, where basically, I think his character's name is Matt, or Josh Hartnett, is basically on his last night of his celibacy, and he plans to meet up with Shannon Sossman, and they're going to finally have sex. Then basically, his ex finds out about the bet, drugs him, and basically sexually assaults him just so she can win the bet. So basically, she rapes him, and then when she's leaving, runs into Shannon Sossman, and Shannon Sossman is just so appalled, thinking he cheated with his ex, that he basically has to apologize to her for being sexually assaulted. And then everything is hunky-dory at the end. No charges are filed against Vanessa Shaw's character. And it's just, what kind of ending? How do you sit there and write a film? And like, okay, so basically the girl rapes him.
So, in 1990,
mm-hmm.
there was a Clint Eastwood movie called The Rookie, okay? And there's a scene in that film. Now, they tried to hype this up like it was going to be the next Lethal Weapon. Him and Charlie Sheen, they're going to be kicking ass. And Dirty Harry, the kid from Platoon, they're going to be like fighting Raul Julia playing a German and, save Los Angeles from car thieves. You have a scene in this film where Clint Eastwood is held captive by Raul Julia and Sonia Braga. And Sonia Braga decides to rape Clint Eastwood and have sex with him while he's handcuffed to a chair and basically have cameras going. So she pulls like the little Rob Lowe sex tape thing, which was happening at that time. And she still got her comeuppance in the end because she got shot in the head by Charlie Sheen. Now, I'm not saying spoiler alert. Not saying it's a good movie. It's got a lot of problems, but weirdly enough, it is a guilty pleasure for that time. I've watched it a few times and, it's okay. It's a Clint Eastwood movie. But, oh my God, what the fuck was this guy thinking when he wrote this? And not to have this girl get her comeuppance. I'm not saying she should have been shot in the head. But what the fuck were they thinking back then? And what the fuck are they thinking about this today? Because, yeah, this guy gets all the way to the very end. You could have done this any other way. He could have even just had like premature ejaculation, just thinking about Shannon Slosman. We could have bought that. You know, guys in their 20s and 30s still have wet dreams. But you have the ex-girlfriend who should have been out of the picture way back when, decides to sexually assault this guy and gets away with it with nothing, and he gets punished by Shannon Slosman because he was handcuffed in a bed. This is a fucked up movie that should not be played on TV, and that director, thank God, is probably not working anymore. You know, he should be Me Too. Fuck that guy. Fuck these writers.
He directed Heathers. So, no.
Well, they allowed this to happen. Was this a Weinstein movie?
Work. He needed work. He also directed Airheads.
Okay, I can forgive you for Airheads because you hired Brendan Fraser, but come on! These writers, man, they shouldn't have done this. No producer. If there were women on this, they should be embarrassed for this shit.
Like I said, Vanessa Shaw, unfortunately, this is really one of her more noteworthy roles. And don't get me wrong, she's a good actress, very attractive woman.
But she got paid to do this, and that's embarrassing. I'm sorry, Vanessa Shaw. You've done better work. You had Hocus Pocus. This was wrong.
That was the movie you pulled out with Hocus Pocus? It's like she's done Two Women with Joaquin Phoenix and Gwyneth Paltrow, but you pick out the Bette Midler movie.
What everybody knows.
I'm trying to think another. She was in oh god, the remake of 310 to Yuma.
So she's a good actress, but that's beside the point. She raped the guy and got away with it.
Well, I mean, her character, she did literally. Vanessa Shaw was like, oh, yes.
Was there an alternate ending where he goes to the San Francisco Police Department and runs to Mark Harmon?
Well, my thing is, A, I'm shocked I guess because the technology boom, it was set in San Francisco. B, again, they never explained why he liked her in the first place, other than obviously her looks.
This is white people shit, man. White people shit.
Oh, black people date people for just looks, and you wonder why are they dating? Shoot, look at all the rappers. So, but like I said, it is bad. But at that time, I think this was one of those what you would call fly-by-night spec scripts, where it just seemed like a good premise at the time, and now we're looking back at it and seeing just how problematic. I mean, watching the movie at the time, the biggest problem for me was the ending.
Well, yeah, you wrote a whole thing about it. I'm sure there's a bunch of essays, but what do the actors and the crew think about this today? Because if Molly Ringwald has problems with parts of The Breakfast Club where you have Judd Nelson doing some Me Too shit and they get together at the end, imagine how Shannon Slosman and all these people must think that they can't watch this movie now because this was just bad. And literally, you know, we get into the mindset of the Me Too movie where it's always like the women have to be the victims and the men can't be believed because they're the assholes. But there are those exceptions. And this perpetuates the problem that we have in our society today. And the fact is, yes, believe the women, but investigate the shit. Find the evidence, find the proof. Just don't always take everything at face value because it could ruin somebody else's life. I'm sorry to say that, but it's the fact.
Well, I feel like with this ending, it was kind of like that 1980s, oh God, I hate to bring this up, that LA Law episode where the man got raped, where it was like, yeah, but look at how hot the girl was. Oh, she could rape me anytime. You know, it felt like one of the, like that was the attitude writing the ending, you know? And like, oh yeah, of course she's always going to believe that Matt planned it. And even though he's handcuffed to a bed, you know, that, oh, he must have really wanted because he got hard when it's been scientifically proven. Well, if you're drugged or scared, yes, you can maintain an erection.
Or if you just wake up in the morning, you just have a boner. You're not even thinking about women.
Exactly. And in his drug state, he thought it was her. So yeah, this movie. I don't want to say because I like the actors involved in the movie, but yeah,
Sure.
fuck this movie.
Yeah. Fuck these writers. You know what? I forgive Michael LeMann again. He gave us Headers, he gave us Airheads, and a couple of other decent films. Even there's some Hudson Hawk fans out there. But fuck these writers that
Well,
and
there was
these
only
producers that
one,
allowed
Rob
that shit
Perez.
to happen.
There's only one. Rob Perez is the screenwriter.
Is he still working today? Because
I don't know. You have more of the better internet that can check his resume to see if he ever worked.
yeah.
If he did, I hope it's not more Me Too-ish scripts. He must have worked for Harvey Weinstein. But obviously, we both would not recommend this movie.
I wouldn't let kids or even my own children ever see this.
I can only hope we get to see more Vanessa Shaw in movies. We get to see more Shannon Sossaman in movies. Josh Hartnett has a Guy Ritchie movie coming out. I haven't seen Paolo Costanzo since the night of the HBO miniseries. Yeah. Maggie Gyllenhaal keeps getting nominated for awards. Griffin Dunn is still out there. He's acting and producing these days. And I mean, he did produce Running on Empty. Emmanuel Vaugier, I wish would work more. Keegan Connor Tracy, you see a lot in Disney movies. And Jared Paul, one of the guys in The Office, I think he was on Monk for a bit. And then there was my man Michael Morona from The Adventures of Pete and Pete playing the bagel guy.
That's right, yeah.
So, these were some familiar faces in the movie. Obviously, I don't know, they're out there working. But yeah, like this script, what the hell?
This is a man's fantasy of thinking women will drop their panties for them just by walking on the street.
This might be one of the few times where I'm like, well, I'm kind of happy there's very few minorities in this movie. Yeah. Can't put it on us.
No.
So that ends. Do you have any final thoughts on 40 Days, 40 Nights?
Yes. To the guys, don't expect girls to drop their panties if you catcall them. Don't catcall them. Don't do it in the gym. Don't do it on the street. Just be a gentleman and don't be so flirtatious and piss them off. Just be a man. Just be a nice person. Be a decent person.
That is good advice. And don't use this film as, your film to learn about relationships. Yeah. And I guess that ends our business this week. But as you know, there's always unfinished business, especially down in the deep dive. So we will see you guys next episode. Until then, hopefully you watch way better movies than this movie. And